Good morning, guys. 6 a.m. Just sitting on the front step, listening to the birds, having a coffee. Yesterday, I went to meet my new friend who is an insider on the Carol and Jack McWilliams murder case. Okay? She's been researching this her whole life. She went to school actually for this. She knows all the names and players of characters. She can make connections that I can't because she knows family members' names, people that were in this gang that Jack and Carol belonged to, mobsters, police. She's quite a good researcher. She's written some books. So I went to meet her, and she tells me that she's not an informant. She's not a rat. She's an insider. So we're going to refer to her as my insider for this case. You'll also notice that this case is called An Unfinished Tale of Murder, episode 49. And how I came to that conclusion was I just opened the folder that I have all the movies that I've made in there for this case, and there were 48 videos in there. So this is episode 49. We're going on 3 years of work here, guys. So what I'm going to play you is the recording. I sat with her for an hour and a half, and she allowed me to audio record, and I'm going to take some snippets out of there. But there were a few key things that I'm going to hit on and explore in the next couple of videos. It gave me ideas of where to go. It also gave me ideas on where we may have gone wrong. One of them is quite drastic. I'll just tell you about her theory here on that. It's kind of tied into Maisie sent us information, and it kind of contradicts what's out in the public domain, and we're working on getting the actual autopsy report for this case, because I have some questions. As you guys remember, the box told us right in the very beginning that Carol's hair and face were burned, that she was shot that close that her hair caught on fire. It said that twice. So one of the pieces of evidence that we're hoping to get is this autopsy report, which could, in fact, validate things that have come through the spirit box. Okay? Now, she's thrown out this idea that Black might be the killer, but it might not be the Black that I think it is, Detective Black. I'm not sure I'm on board with that, guys, because of all the things the box has told me, and, you know, when things are that evident in front of you that there's a Detective Black investigating this case, and we know, well, I know from things I've heard and other things I've investigated that he wasn't always on the up and up. The insider tells me that this may have just been a pseudonym, somebody's fake name. She thinks she knows who it was, and that person may have had the name something something Black. I'm not on board 100% with that, but who knows? We'll see where that goes. That will come up in the conversation. There are many things that come up in the conversation, many things I can't talk about. I also had someone else from the family contact me a couple months ago through Facebook. And so I sent them a message to clarify who they were and what they wanted from me about this case. So that was a bit of a reminder that there are other people watching this. I've had 2 reminders. One of them was a warning. Also, to just let it go by one of the key players in this case who is still alive. So, you guys know that my aunt does some work for me, some digging. She's just as bad as me. She won't let it go. She was at a party on the weekend. She was asking all the old-timers, what do you remember about this case? She asked somebody else about the case. And that was what we were told, that her and I need to give it up. So there are still warnings, and I've been warned by other people who say, hey, there's a lot more that goes on here. Things have changed, but not that much. There is still a dark side to this city, and, the powerful people in these areas, these northern towns, they're still the same powerful people they were, families that they were 50, 60 years ago. On paper, they might be a little cleaner. They may have covered their tracks a little better in this age, but they're still out there and they still exist. So I'm getting warnings to just let this go. Well, I can't let it go. You guys know that. We're going to get to the bottom of it one way or another. Also, my insider tells me that she has a good idea of where Carol's ring is. And guys, it matches exactly what I said in the last video. Where I said it went, watch that video. She tells me that is in fact where it went, and she thinks she knows who has the ring. Now, she came to that conclusion through research. I came to that conclusion through a psychic response through a box. So my whole point with dealing with my insider here is that I want to get things that she has found through research that can validate what's coming through the box. And we talked about 5 or 6 instances of things that we may be able to do just that, starting with this autopsy report. Another discrepancy that I noted in an earlier video was that the newspaper articles contradict themselves depending on who wrote them and what date they were written. The day of, the week after, 2 weeks after, a month after, they have varying reporting in there. And one of those things was how many times Jack was shot, how many times Carol was shot. In the 2 articles that I found, they had the exact opposite number of times. One said Jack was shot once, one said Jack was shot twice. And then there's Maisie's input. Maisie, our psychic friend from over the pond, says that Carol was shot 3 times. Well, my insider tells me that that may in fact be the case. She has researched, and that is what she has come to, the conclusion that Carol was shot 3 times. So we need that autopsy report to get to the bottom of this, to validate Maisie's responses, my responses, and figure out this mess of poor reporting from back in 1969. My insider is a writer and an author herself. So I've actually asked her and floated the idea, what do you think about writing a movie script? And she thinks that's an awesome idea. Again, she's never done that. I've never done that. I'm an author myself. I've written a couple books back in the day. And we think we're going to give it a go, but we want to get our facts straight as best we can and tell this story. And I think the more I think about it, the story that I want to tell actually includes the psychic guy who's getting the information that has resurfaced this case and brought all these new details to light. I just need to back up and verify the facts that the box is telling me, and we already have done that a couple of times, guys. There are snippets that come through this box which are like a playback, a recording of history, little things, and I know when they happen, I feel it. And I've mentioned it to you guys every time, and I'm getting a shiver. There's goose pimples going down my arms right now. How many guns are you going to get me? 100. And then later in the research, I find out that George Taylor Hardware was robbed and 110 guns were stolen. There's a couple things that my insider told me about yesterday. If you guys remember in the beginning, the very beginning of this series, it kept talking about, the box was talking about a boat and something happening on a boat. Right away, my insider showed me an article and said, this happened 6 years previous to our murder case, and it involved a couple of police officers and some high-rolling city officials that blew up on a boat on Lake Nipissing, which is the lake that we live on right here, 6 years before the murder case. And she feels, and I feel, that this is all tied into the case. Again, powerful things. There are so many things going on tied to this case that I didn't even think of. Things she's pointing out to me and saying, you got to watch this, you got to watch that, you got to watch this family, you got to know this. Maybe I just haven't been taking this seriously enough.
Don't run the Hack Shack or nothing.
No.
That scares the shit out of me.
No, we won't run that.
Okay.
You have so many factual-based things that I need to look at first before we get into that. There's some kind of movie connection that needs to be done. Why is there no movie of this?
So what happened was years ago, Frank Caruso was going to do that. He made a movie similar as what you were talking about to do with a book.
So there is a movie based on
Yeah, I can't remember. They changed it all. It's some police detective, and he was looking into. I can't remember how he did it, but Frank Caruso got his hand slapped,
Okay.
I think.
Well, I need to find that then.
That's Carol Ann at school.
Mm-hmm.
Her daughter gave that to me. You see what she's wearing on her finger?
Yes, I do.
Ian's ring.
Do you know anything about this ring? Like, is there an inscription on it? I think there is.
There might be, but it's according to your spirit box, it has a gold backing.
What was an accident?
The boat explosion? Never seen that? They had 5 cops on there. Boom, up
Okay,
in late
wait, no, I don't know anything
1960
about
something.
this.
So I've got the case populaire
They kept
robbery.
talking about a boat.
But when he said to you a lot of people were involved, he wasn't kidding. My biological father was at that party that night with a friend, and he said a big ruckus broke out and there was gunplay going on, and him and his friends got the hell out of there. But he said when Carol Ann and Jack left, the group left right behind them. Right behind them.
Now my problem, I have so many problems with this. Okay, A, why did Jerry Roy suddenly disappear from this being accused by the defense?
Okay, so the way it works in a gang is somebody has to take the blame for what's happened. So the bank robbery at the Case Populaire, they made Ian take the blame for it. He went to prison for that, right? So that's how a gang works. Because they had this investigation going on, they took Jack and Carol and they did what you see on TV. Either you do things our way or we're going to make your life miserable.
Right.
And somewhere along the line, as Maisie says, cops were operating in both worlds, and one of them ratted them out. So
yeah, well, I think Black, the box has told me, if you believe anything the box says, and it's given me things that I've found in papers after as fact, how many guns you're going to get me? 100. George Taylor Hardware's robbed of 110 guns. Okay, so it's telling us factual things that we've found through investigation, so I have to believe what the box is telling me. Well, the box is telling me that Black killed them. It's told me that dozens of times.
George Frederick Black is an alias, and so is William Longer. This is the guy who shot after 1969. Jerry Roy has been a very busy guy, so he didn't go anywhere. See that? He's been into a lot of... If you check him out online, you'll find out that he is from Toronto.
And what's his connection to this? Mafia?
They were all in a gang together, and from what I understand, Carol and Jack got pulled in by the cops, and they were made to go and get information, just like Maisie says. And my dad said Jack was shot 3 times, not once. Maisie's right.
Well, the obituary that I found online, which was just the reporting, was confused because it stated 2 different things, saying that he was shot twice and then that she was shot twice.
Yeah,
it kind of contradicted itself.
That's all wrong,
but nobody had mentioned 3.
When you went onto the bridge and you opened it up, the first thing you hear is bang, bang, bang.
Okay, well, we
3
heard
bang bangs.
We heard bang bangs, yeah.
Bang, 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 and that's what happened. They tried to run.
Any interest in writing a movie script with me?
I've never done that before.
I've never done it either, but I think it needs to be done.
I've written books, but she hands me this scrapbook, and it's every clipping that was ever in the nugget about him.
That is awesome.
So I think that's pretty cool. So I took it home, and it caused a little bit of a ruckus in Timmy's, because even though people don't talk about this anymore, it's still there. The 3rd daughter was born 2 weeks before she died. She went to that home. She gave birth to that baby.
Okay.
There's a reference in one of your videos about how the baby and bouncing on the knee, and if you tell him, he'll want to take the baby. I think that's the baby.
Okay, you're right. So I was
about.
just going to say there is a connection to this 3rd baby, and like when I went out and detected the scene, I found this thing that said pregnant, and this is what it was all leading me to. Then I'm like, okay, so she was pregnant before she died, which is news to me that you're telling me the 3rd child. So the box is right. Now, is it right about Black being the father? But it also keeps saying something about son, and I'm like,
I don't know. If you look back in articles where they went to rent cars and stuff, they always gave bogus names.
Okay.
I think they're aliases.
That makes sense. Nobody checked anything back in the days. There were
police departments weren't interconnected. Now that whole... I have a picture of Jerry Roy in here somewhere. You should see how big this gang is. It's amazing. Watch what you say on there, please.
Well, I'm not saying too much right now.
We just need facts first. There,
yes.
See, these are the guys that were on the boat.
That's what I want, is facts.
This is the only... When it mentioned boat,
I could not figure out, and it mentioned it more than once about the boat.
And Pat Madigan was on that boat, and he's, remember Madigan's Furniture?
What year was this boat explosion?
1963. Gang related but he died, They drowned. Pat Madigan got burned. See, look he's got all these cops. Rudy Castani was there as well. He's from, he owned Union Taxi at the time, and there was another guy on the boat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and Rudy. So all these guys were on the boat. So what happens is they said that back then they went out, they filled up the motor on the way back because they ran out of gas. But back then, you put your finger in, you filled along the gas so it would go into the motor, right? You did it. And within minutes, the cabin, they were all in the back of the boat. The cabin just blew up and exploded. And it burned right to the water line.
You're actually freaking me out, blowing my mind here again. Because again, this is another example of something that has been found through research that the box said. And so this is like telling me again the validity of what the box is telling us is leading us. It's like breadcrumbs to figure out and put all of this together.
I agree.
You're definitely right that this is related.
Now, I'm starting to think that Witherspoon might have purged the records at the police department because he had some corrupt cops.
We would never know because they didn't record
There are
anything.
files out there, and some of the older cops have them, but which ones they have is a part of the unknown, right? And I don't think Witherspoon was a bad guy. He drank a lot, but I don't think he was a bad guy.
Well, the box is telling this too. Now, there's things I'd like to confirm that, telling us about drinking with Black, like who was Black's partner. And it's talking, there's something to do with the night that they were murdered. Were they supposed to be protecting them? Like, were they undercover and Jack and Carol were supposed to go to a meeting and these guys buggered off and were drinking? This was something I originally thought, the way the box was explaining it. And that's how they knew where the bodies were, because they fucked up and they didn't go to this meeting where they should have. And these guys got shot and they were like, oh shit, we just let our 2 informants die? Like, that's a possibility as well. But I have to go. The box keeps telling me that Black did it, so I don't know.
My daddy went to the Elbow that night with a couple of his friends, and they all got invited back to Mabel's for the party, and they were all there drinking until a ruckus broke out, and then Carol and Jack left, and the gunplay and all that stuff went on. My dad calls it a ruckus. Well, he's gone now, but that's what he told my brother. And they left, like, not soon after they left. So as soon as Carol and Jack left, within that half hour, they were gone too. So all the timelines are wrong. And the reason why the autopsies are off, because when you fall in a body of water, it was November, it was cold, it slows down
everything
the rigor
down.
mortis.
Yes.
So they couldn't determine that. And the food on the table, they could have, they probably just got home and made it and were eating when they busted in, because they would have ate right after the party. And I have to tell you, I used to drink, and we always ate after we got drunk.
Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, big time. Chinese food from Wong's
Well,
restaurant.
there was blood on the door. The door had been kicked in. They were definitely taken from there. But
they were,
But these other 4, but he testified that they did come back. It's in the papers. I saw his testimony that they came back with beer. And this is what they said they went out to do. And then they got it from so-and-so, or who? Well,
Mabel owned the house
Mabel,
that they lived
yes.
in. Mabel also has been charged with owning a bawdy house, a prostitute home. And Mary, she had a daughter named Mary, by the way. Lived in the home that she sent away. Remember, Mary stole the files, or Mary stole something?
Yeah.
Do you know what happened to Mabel Brownlee? After the trial was all, like during the middle of the trial, they had 2 major lightning strikes in North Bay, and one of them went through the 2nd floor of her window right into her house. Isn't that telling you something, lady?
So basically, are we saying that this younger generation was cutting into profits, maybe, or stealing?
No, I think they were all the same gang.
Okay.
And that they brought in the younger ones. So they brought in Donald Kelly and Ian Rose and all of them into the gang they already had existing.
But why were they killed? Why?
Because they said they were rats. That's
Is it that simple that the cops pulled them in and they were, because there is a lot of that talk in the Spirit Box stuff that's come through.
I don't call
about
that ratting
deep
out.
cover, undercover.
In the prison terms, when they say prison justice, I guess they did what they did to them because, it's just so bad. Oh God, when I think about all this stuff, they probably got pulled in, and like I said, they got forced into doing what they were doing. They were taking notes and stealing files and doing whatever. And somebody ratted them out. When I talked about this in front of my mother, she yells out, they were all rumors. So,
Yeah.
The internet, I cannot find no George Frederick Black. And it would be funny that they would use Black as that.
What if I'm wrong this whole time and I've been saying it's Detective Black, but it is Black, but it's not
the cop Black.
the cop Black?
It's the George Frederick Black that you keep mentioning. At your feet are probably 8 steno pads full of notes from all of your videos.
Well, hey, I'm glad somebody's paying attention, because I get so overwhelmed with each little tidbit and I don't know what's true and what's not, and I don't know what to follow up, and I'm like,
well, I'm working on some other stuff.
Okay. I want facts. This is a burning thing inside me, and I want to know what happened and why.
So do I. And I don't care who doesn't know.
And the strange thing is, though, I have to put some belief into this, the woo side of this, because it's telling me so many things.
Oh, yeah. That box is some of that dialogue coming out. Oh, yeah.
I swear some of it is snippets right from history. Like the one I did on Donald Kelly, when they talk about him getting up and you're not getting away and blah, blah, blah. That's like a snippet in time. And it's coming through the box. It's
Yeah.
just like the how many guns you gonna get me? And the girl replies 100. You know, that's
They
a
did.
true
They were missing
snippet.
over 100 guns.
Yeah, 110 guns from the George Taylor
I
hardware.
have that, all those clippings too. You really got to learn how. It's hard to learn how to look for all this stuff. And then Buzz got in trouble. Oh, I knew Buzz. Buzz got in trouble. He's in jail because he says that the cops are corrupt and they're beating him up, and that's how he ended up there.
I mean, Buzz existed.
Oh yeah, Buzz exists.
Now you're saying that he was being beaten up by the cops. Could Buzz have been coerced and used to break into that place and steal evidence out of there?
That part I don't know.
Well, I'm just
Couldn't tell ya.
drawing this conclusion now. Could they have used this guy and said, "We're going to drop some charges for you, but you got to go do some stuff for us"? Maybe.
Yeah,
Who knows?
could be. I went back to the jail and I
Is he still
explained it
alive
all
or is
to
he
him.
dead?
No, Buzz is gone. But no one would listen to us, so they went on a hunger strike. The three of them in the jail. I don't know. And then I just I can't do this anymore with you guys. Like Carol Ann's third daughter, she was told that when she went to the police station to find out if there was any information on her mom still around. She hadn't been home a couple hours and the phone rang and said, "You don't want to end up like your mother in the North River, shut your mouth." It was like, he didn't kill the dog, he didn't do this. Okay, like I didn't know then, but I do know now that, yeah, the only reason he had blood on his sleeve and a little bit on his shirt is because he was probably standing near them when they shot them. And
So was this verified that he had blood on his shirt, or?
yeah, that's in court documents. Pat
But I thought
Fragnini
this
and
was
that.
just a testimony that he was. That there wasn't actually any proof that he had.
No, it's
Sure.
testimony from Pat Fragnini,
Right.
yeah.
Which she was coerced by through. I talked about it in the last video.
I talked to her oldest son, and he said, "You have no idea what my mom went through back then. She had 3 little kids, and just
Yeah.
like she's trying to support herself. She gets tied up in all these bad guys, and the cops are on her. Blackie's on her. Like everybody was on her. She died when she's 49. How awful is that?"
This is the problem with this case when we're talking Spirit Box and what comes through, because we've got Detective Black, we've got Blackie Plagisi, and now you're saying we've got an alias, which is also Black.
I'm sure it's an alias.
So there's a few snippets of things we talked about, guys. We had over an hour and a half conversation yesterday, and this is just the first of many that we're going to have. So hopefully between us and the other tentacles that we have out there, we can get some more solid information and move this case forward. Wish us luck.